Okay, everybody, let's get this show rolling here. So go ahead and find your seats if you can. And I think we've got just about everybody ready to go. I'm Greg Thies, president of NATAS Northwest. Thank you for being here tonight at FremontStudios. We have a tremendous group of Gold Circle and Silver Circle inductees tonight. I just wanted to take a minute to wish them hearty congratulations and well-deserved honor. I also want to wish and send a thank you along to our Gold Circle and Silver Circle committee members who are chaired by and who take care of this event. And you can't see them because they're in the dark over here. Sarah Givens and Robin Wotanic. Thank you. Give them a big round of applause. We're going to have a great evening tonight, and that's all I get to say, because right now the real master of ceremonies is here, Mr. Jesse Jones.
I hate to tell you now, but y'all screwed up. Had the wrong guy up here. There's no backup, right? No one else gonna come in if I start doing things? Thanks, Greg. It's great to be here. It's kind of like being in a living room with all your friends from the way back. And if you didn't know somebody who's here, you know somebody that knows somebody, right? And just as a note, and I just want to make sure this is clear, that about 12 days after I was inducted into the Silver Circle, I got fired. So I just want to make sure, for those of you who are still working, Susanna Frame, try not to use the card key when you go in, because they know you're coming in, like tailgate. Go up the stairs to your office and wait. Make them come to you before they fire you. Do not answer emails that say touch base. Hey, man, you know, I went and the ratings did too. Hey, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm working for the government, so now I can investigate all of you. Every one of you, I can come get all of y'all, so. All right, now I gotta get back to the script. All right, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Northwest Chapter of the National Association of Television Arts and Sciences, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 34th Annual Silver Circle and Gold Circle Award Ceremony. Man, what are they gonna give people who started now 50 years from now? Like a TikTokie? Like how many followers do you got and just stories you, I don't know, anyhow. Tonight we'll honor 8 individuals for their outstanding contributions to both the television industry and the communities at large in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. Oh, okay. The Silver Circle Awards for NATAS Northwest were established in 1991 as an honor society of exceptional individuals who have served in the television industry for 25 years or more in roles as journalists, performers, hosts, educational and technical staff, as well as administration, advertising, promotion, and public relations. In addition to setting a high standard for their work within our industry, Circle inductees are also recognized for giving back to the community. This includes service to the television broadcasting industry, mentoring those pursuing careers in the broadcasting, and man, we gotta talk about that. These young kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, get to work, man. No, you gotta knock on the door. You gotta knock on the door and you gotta ask the question. Well, but they don't answer by Zoom. I'm sorry, I'm really sounding like an old guy. But knock on the door. Service to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and general contributions to the community at large. The Gold Circle Award recognizes similar individuals who've served in an exemplary fashion for a minimum of, Dick, really? 50 years? Wow. Yeah, we have 8 inductees to honor tonight. 1 gold, 8 silver. One of them decided not to show up. I'm serious, man. I'm not happy about it. Hey, man, they're kids graduating from high school, but who cares about that? You know there was a news director somewhere that would have told you. You want to work. Who cares about it? Yeah, don't you have another kid? Sorry, I know there's a couple news directors in here, but not sorry. Okay, we're gonna keep it simple. And not to temper the insecurities of the talent, we're going to introduce people in alphabetical order, not in ratings, not by how many likes you have. And so after your video shows, please make your way to the podium while I share a brief introduction before you take the mic. And with that, let's start the show.
Marshall is an unbelievably talented visual storyteller.
He has a real care about the story. He has a cinematic approach.
He never misses a shot. He gets every visual you might possibly imagine.
Dick is the kind of guy that always shows up early. He is prepared. He's got extra gear. He just doesn't know any other way to do it other than doing it right.
Bill did seem a tad testy, but I sensed that if I showed him I was just a friend who meant no harm, we
Bill.
could work out this problem.
Now let's be reasonable. No. It's not reasonable, Bill. Come on.
I met Dick when we were both photographers at Cairo. I'm taking some credit for Dick's 50 years because at his retirement party 15 years ago, I sat down and said, I need you to come work with me at the UW.
I met Dick Marshall in 1987. I was one of the news photographer interns at Cairo TV. He was a great instructor. Fast forward 35 years, and we're working together at UW Video.
If you're lucky enough to be a fellow crew member of Dick's on a production, you're learning something no matter how many years of experience you have. He's always got something new, another trick up his sleeve, and another tip to hone our craft.
I wanted the best people available to work with me, the best photographers, the best editors, and I always wanted to work with Dick.
For this great video on the UW Boxing Club, Dick had to move like he was covering breaking news at Cairo. When we worked on a piece about the UW marching band, who would have thought to put a GoPro on a trombone slider? But Dick did. We also worked on a kids' TV show called
Brainworks!
And he got some wonderful shots that really added energy. When he's not working, he's found time to volunteer in the community and to help friends in need.
Dick seems like the kind of guy that always wants to help other people first. He looks it out for other people before himself even, and he's willing to give his time to do that. Our friend Keith was diagnosed with cancer, and he was struggling to keep up with yard work around his house. Dick was very vocal about it. He wanted to help Keith. Dick and I were on the way home after a very long day in Wenatchee. The weather was great in Wenatchee, but we ran into a sudden, incredible blizzard at the top of Blewett Pass. All the traffic was stopped. State Patrol wouldn't let people go unless they had chains. Dick had chains, put them on the car. Looked behind us, there was a lone woman in a small car. She had chains, but there was no way she was gonna put these chains on. And it was Dick who crawled under her car and got her chains on so she could get across the pass as well. She was on the way to visit a sick daughter in the hospital. Dick was about more than getting the story, more than proving that he was a great photographer. Dick is a person who cares about humanity. And that's why I always remember that story.
The fact that Dick still enjoys what he's doing and that he does it with such ease and he still has such great positive energy and everything he puts into it. After 52 amazing years, Dick, that is awe-inspiring. I wish nothing but the best for the future for Dick Marshall. He is devoted to his wife, his family, sons, and his grandkids. Dick being inducted into the Gold Circle is truly a lifetime achievement, and no one deserves this more than you.
We are proud to honor a Gold Circle inductee tonight, recognized for over 50 years of dedication to the broadcast industry, Dick Marshall. Dick began his career at a small station in Utica, New York, then to Syracuse, and eventually Seattle's KIRO and KSTW. Dick's outstanding work has earned him 5 Emmys, 5 Telly Awards, a Senate Golden Eagle, the National Headliner Award, and awards from NPPA and SPJ. Off camera, Richard has volunteered with the Boy Scouts, Sail Sandpoint, and Habitat for Humanity, proving his commitment to community matches his passion for storytelling. His inscription reads, in honor of more than 50 years combining an artist's vision with the storyteller's heart, for always telling new and fascinating stories and mentoring generations of new journalists, for setting the gold standard for excellence and service. Please welcome Gold Circle honoree, Dick Marshall.
Thank you, everyone. This is such an honor. Thank you so much. I'd like to especially thank Dave Riss, who edited that video and created some magic with still photos and animated them. And it was, he is amazing. And he's up for an Emmy tomorrow night. So anyway, also the Gold Award it's very humbling. I just remember we were having difficulty finding this place, and it said to take a left on J.P. Patch's place. And J.P. is such an icon, and Chris Wheatus, J.P., and Bob Newman, Gertrude, both received the Gold Awards. They were the last ones from KIRO to do that. And it's such an honor. Anyway, thank you, NATAS Northwest, for honoring me with the Gold Circle induction this year. I am very grateful and humbled by this career distinction. I've been in the business for 52 years now, and I had no idea I was going for the gold as the years went by. It just sort of happened. Most sane people working in TV and video would probably think that 30 to 40 years is plenty. It's time to put down the camera or the laptop and move on to whatever floats your boat in retirement. But little did I know that my retirement could involve some work too. When I think about my career path, it has come down to other people along the way that believed in me and gave me opportunities, and I'd like to recognize some of those people. Ralph Mudge, a college roommate, for telling me about a job at his small TV station in Utica, New York. The pay was $100 a week, which was minimum wage. That's $2.50 an hour. But getting my foot in the door of a real TV station was priceless. And I was off to work as a news photographer. Pat Holian, a TV director I met in Utica, told me about an opening at his station a little farther west in Syracuse. And a few years later, Roy Williams from Cinema Associates in Seattle offered me a photographer job in his company that produced industrial and educational films. Video hadn't arrived then. We were shooting 16mm film. John Sherman, KIRO's chief photographer, changed my life with a job offer, and I spent 31 total years at KIRO TV. That's really my TV home. Within KIRO, I'd like to thank Herb Weisbaum for bringing me into the consumer unit, and Mickey Flowers for enlisting me in the medical unit, and Rick Garza for offering me a job with the KIRO local programming department. And in between these specialty assignments, I covered lots of local news as well. But there were two things, though, 2 morning shows I worked on, Narissa at 9 with Narissa Williams, and 7 Live with Joyce Taylor. And both were wonderful experiences. I left KIRO for a few years when Pat Witt offered me a job as a senior photographer at KSTW. It was a 2-photographer shop. So I was working with a great crew on locally produced shows for the Mariners and other clients. Later, I felt KIRO was calling me home, so I returned for 4 more years after Scott Kruger and Scott LaPlante hired me back. And as you saw, Charlie Hinckley, a friend and executive producer at UW Video, suggested at my retirement party that I come do some freelance work for the U. And I thought this sounded like a great way to ease into retirement. So maybe I didn't have to give up the camera just yet. The people I have worked with there have been wonderful, and I'd especially like to thank producer Stacy Sakamoto for including me in many of her video shoots. Her encouragement has really meant so much to me. And as a side, we just had a shoot yesterday, so for 7 hours, with graduation coming up, UW graduation. I discovered there are good reasons to keep working, despite what your family and friends may think. You're interacting with other people, sharing ideas, learning new equipment and techniques, problem solving, and enjoying the company of others. And this social interaction is supposed to be a good thing, right? We keep reading about that, and it really is. And it might even beat Sudoku and crossword puzzles, but I still do Sudoku. My work with the UW Video has lasted for almost 14 years now. And that was a gig that put me over the 50-year mark for this award. And a big thank you to Rob Rosamond and the crew there for letting an old guy feel young by playing in their sandbox of video production. For all the people and paths I have mentioned on my journey here, there's one path I didn't take that made the biggest impact on me personally. While working in Syracuse, I received a job offer from Channel 7 Eyewitness News in Buffalo, New York, WKBW. Even though Buffalo was a larger market, more money, it's known for its epic snowstorms. But there was a bigger reason to pause. The complicating factor was I had a great girlfriend back in Utica. There might be a future with this pretty young lady, so I turned the job offer down. One thing led to another, and we decided to have our own gold circle ring ceremony. We got married, had 2 fine boys, Chris and Kevin, and we just celebrated our 50th golden anniversary in April. So, thank you, Teresa. I love you. And skipping the job in Buffalo and marrying you was the best thing I ever did. I got a thumbs up on that. So, thank you again for this wonderful honor. I'm very happy to accept it with all of you, my friends, my family, and my fellow industry professionals. Thank you.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. All right. All right. Thank you.
When Montana wants to know more than just the scores, he turns to NBC Sports and Chris Byers on Straight 8.
Chris Byers and Scott Breen from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, side of Super Bowl 34.
Oh, come on. If you do it right. Okay. Chocolate butt thunder flying, Robazina crying, earth shaking, glass breaking, rump roasting, bun toasting, wham jam, glass breaker, I am jam. That's it.
First and 10. Carpenter now looks deep. Going for Jefferson again, who turns on the Jets, and this will be a touchdown. Wow, Michael Jefferson.
Chris Byers, ladies and gentlemen.
Get out of my state, Musburger.
Hello and welcome to the Weekend Bash, Vegas style.
You know Wayne Newton? You know Donkey Shane?
Basically, he's broadcasting's version of a player's coach. You work with him and you just didn't want to let him down. And honestly, this kind of stinks because it means it's coming, the end of his career's on the horizon.
Montana has its own representative. He's Flint Rasmussen.
Chris Byers is a part of my childhood, adulthood, just my sports life. I hear Chris Byers. Boys, a lot of people hear Chris Berman. I hear Chris Byers.
Prior to his arrival, rural towns in Montana watched television and they saw sports from maybe the big, Billings area. In terms of rural, it started with Chris.
Up on the Stillwater to Absaroka, Class C football. Huskies home tonight against Shields Valley.
I mean, when he got here, he went to these tiny towns, population 45, and started covering them.
Here comes Browning, no run and gun. Lyle St. Goddard with the steal and the hoop.
They were on television for the first time as high school kids.
He loved that world.
This is a 79-yard touchdown run. He is gone.
Going out to a school with 38 kids.
They just line up and play a little helmet-on-helmet football.
I just think it's cool that he
stayed here, and I think mostly it's because there's such wonderful people like myself here that he could often run into in the grocery store.
Chris just created an amazing standard of sports coverage throughout Montana, and I'm so proud to be a part of the legacy that he created.
I am cheersing some black velvet to you, Mr. Silver Circle and Mr. Treasure State Sports. I love you, man, and I'll see you soon.
Without Chris allowing me to be me and stretch the boundaries of time when it came to telling stories, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
In a world where the goal is always to get to the top level, ESPN, his priorities were family number 1, family number 2, and family number 3.
I'm thrilled to welcome a true legend in Montana sports, Chris Byers. Oh yeah, clap for Montana. He goes, yo, yeah, stand. Oh, yeah, man, you want to stand up for Montana? You know I spent some time in Montana. I know who you are, man. For over 40 years, he's devoted himself to Big Sky Country, the trusted voice of Montana sports, and the longest tenured sportscaster in the state. Chris helped transform how local sports are covered across Montana. He played a leading role in bringing live high school and college sports television to audiences statewide. Chris helped launch the Big Sky State Games. He's a proud member of the Midland Roundtable and Montana's Football Hall of Fame. He's an 8-time Montana Sportscaster of the Year and the first recipient of Broadcasting's the Spirit of Broadcasting Award. Today, still active in a semi-retired role, Chris continues to inform, inspire, and connect with this community. Chris's inscription reads, "You have written the playbook on Montana sports coverage and fostered the growth of local sports for over 4 decades. Thank you for leading with kindness and class as a true friend and mentor to your colleagues at KULR. Please welcome Chris Byers."
Montana in the house. Huh? Chris Byers, Billings, Market 165, and I'm leading this thing off tonight for the Silver Circle. Batting number 1. This is an honor, man. I mean, really, it truly is. And I'm so thankful for the nomination. Brandon, thank you so much for that incredible video. And before I get started, don't put the clock on me just yet, because I got to say one thing. I'm on a Hall of Fame board. We do something like this in Billings for Montana football greats. We give them 10 minutes. And our biggest fear is someone's going to get up there and go on and on and on and on. So I get it. Keep it to 3 or 4 minutes. Robin told me that repeatedly. Last year at our banquet, sure enough, we had a guy get up there, and he goes on, and we're at the 30-minute mark. He's still talking. Now, the chief of police is sitting right in front of me. This guy is as bald as can be. He's got no hair on his head whatsoever. Finally, at the 30-minute mark, he turns to me and he says, "If this guy doesn't stop talking, I'm going to need a haircut when he's done." So here we go, and I will keep this to my time limit because I know how important it is. Now, when I came to Billings in 1983, my plan was to stay a couple of years tops, and you guys know how it works. Graduate from college and you start moving up the ladder, and that's exactly what I did. Sterling, Colorado, my first job, little tiny town in northeastern Colorado, on to Colorado Springs, on to Oregon, all in the first year and a half out of college. So I thought, okay, enough of that. We landed a job in Billings in 1983, and I thought, you know, we'll be there a year and a half, 2 years tops. I had a young son and one on the way, and we thought this would be a good transition. But then the more we stayed in Billings, the more we thought this might be a good place to put roots down, plant a flag, get involved in the community. So we bought a house, and I turned my attention to fulfilling my goals without going anywhere. Could I do what I wanted to do in my career without having to move up, move up, move up? And that's what I tried to do. Now, my other passion outside of covering local sports was play-by-play. And so I went down to Bozeman at Montana State, where Jesse played football, and I said, hey, your students do public broadcasting, you do the games, I'll do the play-by-play for you if you pay my gas money from Billings. So I started calling Bobcat games for the PBS station. Well, that led to a TV contract with our company that lasted 20 years. And we went on to call both Montana State football and basketball for 2 decades. My producer for those games is here tonight, Rip Cook. And I want to thank Rip for all the great years and good times on the road with the Cats. What a tremendous experience. Now, I've covered some big-time events, as you saw from my home in Billings. Done the Super Bowl. I've done national basketball championships. I even did the play-by-play for the Mountain West Tennis Championships in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But what was really important to me, the more I got into getting to do some of those things, and at least we forget the National Finals Rodeo for 30 years down in Vegas, but local kids, the local high school kids, the small towns outside of Billings, that to me was what it was about. That's what mattered most. And you know, a small town, you know where they get their identity? From the high school. When's the only time a small town gets on TV? A, when there's a crime, or B, when the high school football team gets a few highlights on TV, kids run to their TV sets and they see the score. That's a big deal. And that was important to me. And so over my years at KULR 8, that's kind of been my goal. Now, in those 40 plus years that I was at KULR 8, I've had an awful lot of people that have passed through those doors and they've gone on to do great things. And a couple of them are here tonight. Brandon Sullivan. Thank you, Brandon, for that video, by the way. He did the editing on that. And we got Brandon, he was collecting shopping carts at Costco in Billings and came in looking for a job. And we gave him a part-time job, and with his eye for shooting video, he became an award-winning storyteller. You saw all the Emmys on the back of his shelf there when he was talking. And Brandon's gone on to great success, and he's up for an Emmy tonight. The guy he's up for an Emmy with is that man right there, Scott Breen. I hired Scott in 1992 after 2 years as an intern at the University of Oklahoma. And Scott is my friend. He's more than that, he's my best friend. And Scott and I have been together ever since. And after spending 13 years as my weekend anchor, he was too good and he had to move on. So I told him, you got to take the job across town at Q2. And he did, and he's been dominating local sports in Billings ever since. And he still does to this day. And Scott, you and Aaron, thanks so much for being here. And the best part with you and us is I am the godparents to his 2 children. Lynn and I are, Landon and Ella, and that's great. Spencer Martin, you saw him on the video. He was my last hire before I retired 4 years ago. And I want to thank Spence for not letting me go quietly into that night. He insisted that I stick around and continue to work part-time and do stories, and I did. My wife, Lynn, brought a story to me. My other passion is, for whatever reason, is World War II history. And she found this story about a guy, a coach teacher that was in World War II that got injured in Okinawa. So I thought, well, this is great. So I conspired with Spencer. We started working on the story. About halfway through the story, I had a little open heart surgery that didn't go very well. And it was complicated. And I had a lengthy recovery, and I really didn't want to do the story when I came back. I was tired. I thought, I don't want to do this. But Spencer and Lynn made me do it. They said, you've got to finish this story. And so we did. I recovered. We did the story, picked up a Murrow for it, which was bonus. And so they were very sympathetic in my recovery and going back to work. But as Scott would say, why do you want to retire? You got nothing else to do. Can't begin to thank all the folks over the years that have helped me, general managers, the late Bob Merrill, Stan Whitman, Bruce Cummings, Linda Gray, and of course my new home at Coles Media out of Spokane. All have supported me through my work and countless opportunities. Thank you so much. Takes me to the end of this and the purpose for all of this, and that's my family. I have 2 remarkable boys, Tyson and Casey, each successful in their own right. Tyson is a teacher and a coach, and along with wife Christy, have blessed us with 2 granddaughters, Addison and Treston. You grandparents out there know how special that is, right? And it is. My youngest son, Casey, is an associate athletic director at New Mexico, soon to be husband with partner Amy, and their 2 girls, Caslin and Danny. So our family grows, and we love it. Brings me to my wife of 43 years. I met Lynn at my first job in Sterling, Colorado in 1981. And yes, if you look at us, I did marry above my pay grade. I know it. I've been told that my whole life. I accept it. And with Lynn, we had this little place called the Holiday Inn off of I-76. In Sterling, that's the only place you went. They had a little nightclub in there. So I was in there after work one night. She came walking in. I looked at my buddy, and I said, I'm going to marry her. And I did, and that was 44 years ago. So being here tonight would not be possible without her. When I was constantly away from home, she anchored our family, raised our boys, and supported me along the way. She would always say as I was heading out the door, just go do what you have to do. I'll take care of everything. I'm just going to correct her this one time, Lynn. I won't do it anymore, but this one time. What she should have said is, go do what you love to do, because that's what I did. So thank you, Lynn, for giving me my life, my career, and the chance to fulfill my passion. Thanks to everyone that made this possible. Thank you all for having me. This is an honor beyond belief for me. I'm so appreciative. And congratulations to all the other Silver Circle inductees, including Montana's own and my friend Jill Valley. Thank you so much.
Just don't touch it. Take it to someone who knows what they're doing.
Susanna Frame is Chief Investigative Reporter and Head of Journalist Development at King 5 in Seattle. But behind the titles, who is she really?
Okay, so let's see. Brilliant.
Driven.
Tenacious.
Button.
Whip smart.
Hilarious. Frame is funny, fierce, and fabulous.
Badass.
Proud University of Washington grad, Susanna began her badass journalism career in her hometown of Yakima in 1987, before venturing east to Green Bay.
Can you believe this is Wisconsin in the dead of winter?
A detour took her to New York and around the globe, producing documentaries with the Dalai Lama. Then on to Spokane, where she excelled on the anchor desk.
Here's what's new at this hour.
And in the field.
So it was a very powerful blast shot through both windows.
King TV snagged her in 1992.
Images of rescue workers sifting through rubble.
She was assigned to all the big stories. The Oklahoma City bombing.
While public opinion of O.J. seems to be on the decline.
The O.J. Simpson trial.
How is O.J. doing?
He is ready to start this case.
As a reporter, she asks more how and why questions than anybody I can think of.
Susanna does everything 1,000,000%.
And there would be Frame in a velour tracksuit sleeping underneath her desk with some Excel spreadsheet on her computer.
Those massive spreadsheets drive her investigations.
She goes for the stories that are difficult, and she shows people why those stories matter.
And do they matter?
The King 5 investigators have learned.
Her Waste on the Water investigation exposed millions in wasted tax dollars in the state ferry system.
At the most contaminated work site in America.
Her Hanford reporting exposed dangerous lapses in the handling of nuclear waste and injustice for sick workers.
We found a pattern of deceit that continued at Hanford for years.
These and other investigations earned her 3 Peabody Awards, a Columbia DuPont, 3 National Murrows, and a National Emmy.
If you mention her name, you get people's attention.
She stands up for the little guy, and she goes after the big guys.
Hi, Mr. Shoup. I'm Susanna Frame from King TV.
If you've scammed, cheated, or broken the law, she'll find out, and she'll find you.
Hey, Mr. Cantwell. I'm Susanna Frame from King TV.
She has done some work that has been really scary, where they've had to hire security guards to be outside her home.
Her investigations have sent people to jail, prompted new laws, and multi-million-dollar settlements. Then there's her service to others.
She's so willing to share all of her expertise and all of the knowledge that she's accumulated over the years.
There's a term for her script reviews, getting framed.
It means your script went in one way and came out completely different. You've been framed.
But the King 5 investigators have found the...
So who is Susanna Frame? A supernova, deserving of the Silver Circle.
Susanna Frame, sorry, out of time. Congratulations.
Now, this one's close to my heart. Yeah, that velour thing is true. I came in one day to work, and I just see 2 feet sticking out from underneath the desk. I walk around, I'm like, and here she goes, pulls up, hair akimbo, in a velour tracksuit. I was like, what you doing? Working? Just the finest journalist I've ever known. Our next honoree is known for fearless journalism that sparks real change. Susanna Frame. As chief investigative reporter and head of journalist development at King 5 in Seattle, Susanna exposed critical issues ranging from civil rights violations to nuclear waste mismanagement. When you were chasing that dude, one of the guys was from the nuclear waste guy, and it was funny because we were like going back and forth like, okay, when he comes out, what you gonna say? She's like, I'm gonna tell him. And when he came out, he was like, I'm sorry, I just love that part of it. Susanna's investigations have led to federal indictments, congressional action, and new state laws. As you've already seen, these awards are no joke. This is not like the local, I mean, this is like the biggest things you can get. 3 Peabody Awards, 3 a National Emmy, 3 Murrow Awards, and the DuPont, which is the Pulitzer of the television business. She's a truth seeker, a change maker, a leader in public service journalism. Susanna's inscription reads, "You have set a gold standard in journalism. With fearless tenacity, you challenged the powerful, exposed wrongdoing, improved lives, and changed state laws. Your investigations, mentorship of future generations, and public service will have a lasting impact on your community. Please welcome Susanna Frame."
I brought some props. Well, thank you so much, Jesse, and thank you to Roberta and Kellen and Linda Byron for putting together that video. I didn't know who was interviewed, and now I'm asking myself, who didn't you interview? That was really amazing. And thank you, of course, to the Northwest NATAS board for this honor. The person who nominated me, like I said, Linda Byron. I also want to thank just such important people in my life. My husband, Stefan Swedin, is here. If you knew what that man went through just tonight, well, I'm bitching about getting ready and being hot in our house that doesn't have air conditioning. I mean, this man is an angel and a saint. Thank you, honey. Also, my fellow investigative journalists who are here, Chris Ingle, well, Chris isn't here, but I love him dearly. Chris Ingalls, Kristen Goodwillie, Kellen Harrell, Taylor Mefendereski. My former colleagues, there's so many of you that are here, and I'm so touched by that. Alan Schaffler, Jesse Jones, bro, you know I love you so much. Tom Lonsby, current, he's one of my bosses. Kelly Cheadle, Diane Lewis, KJ, Randy Ing, so many of you, thank you so much for coming to support me. And of course, my bosses, Julie Wolf and Christy Moreno at King 5. So like most journalists, when I went off to college, I wanted to be a dentist, and chemistry at the UW weeded me out of that one. So then when I was a sophomore and I was heading out, like literally like going to SeaTac to move to Guadalajara to go to the University of Guadalajara, I was under pressure to pick a major. And my mom goes, what about like communications? I'm like, I never thought of that one. I didn't know anything about it, but I applied and I got in, and that's how all this started. So thank you, Nancy Frame. I appreciate that, my mom. My first years in the business were a whirlwind of struggle and specializing in things like being really bad. I was epically not good when I first started. I was just trying to figure it out. I was in Yakima, then went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I got out of the business. I worked with the Dalai Lama in New York City for a year and a half. And then then I went to Spokane, loved my time at Krem. And then King came calling in. Of course, I said, let me think about it. I was literally too scared to take the job. I'd only done 3 live shots in my whole career. And so I thought, how could I survive there? And then my bosses at Krem didn't want me to go, and they were regaling me with future tripping stories like, your contract's gonna be that they can can you in 6 weeks. You will never get a top story. You'll never lead a newscast. I ended up saying yes. I wasn't very confident about it, but when I got to King, something extraordinary happened. The managers, I'm hearing, had this story that they were kind of peddling around. Oh, Susanna can do that. Well, put Frame on it, she'll pull through. Send Susanna, yeah, she'll get that one done. I'm like, what? Who the hell are they talking about? Me? This was so weird. It was such a weird thing for me. But at the time, I learned something. People work to expectation. For whatever reason, those initial managers at White, thank you, believed in me and expected a lot of me. And so I did my best to meet the challenge, to live up to their expectation. And that really did. It really did change my life. A few years in at King, I started getting a few job offers like in LA and stuff like that. And I thought, I guess I should probably go for that. But King had a different idea. They continued to be the most incredible employers in the business. They gave me one opportunity after the other that really convinced me to stay, and that's why I've been there for so many years. They trusted me to break big stories. They made me an anchor. Then they promoted me to an investigative reporter when I did not know zip about it. They promoted me to the chief investigative reporter. And then a year and a half ago, our news director, Julie Wolf, who's here tonight, promoted me into management. And now, in addition to the chief investigative reporter, I'm the head of journalist development. I am not kidding. At this stage of my career, when I should probably be like peacing out and applying for Social Security, I literally have the best job I've ever had. I've told Julie that many times, and I mean it. So, in most of corporate America, we know what success is measured by, right? The big deals, who made the most money, who made the most this year. But in the investigator's office at King 5, we celebrate success differently. We have something that I call the mini success wand. And we twirl this around when something kind of cool happens, like, oh, we got like a juicy tip or something coming in. Then we have the success bell. It's labeled. We ring this for bigger things, like when one of our investigations leads to a state law getting passed. So at a time when a LinkedIn survey shows that 85% of Americans don't like their job, I am so fortunate that I still love mine. And I credit all of that to the legacy from before and what's happening right now at King TV. It's been such an important part of my life. And I sincerely love King for giving me an incredible career and for helping me define success differently. That is, when your job has purpose, when your job can enact change for the better, and when you work for a place dedicated to empowering and investing in their employees like they did in me. So thank you. Thanks. God, I got a lot of stuff. And Pat Doris, thank you for being here too. I know I forgot some people.
All right, at this point in our alphabetical rundown, we want to acknowledge Silver Circle inductee Mike McCabe from KEPR and KIMA in the Tri-Cities. Mike couldn't join us this evening because his daughter is graduating from high school. It's a reason. Let's honor him with a round of applause. Okay, on to our next inductee.
Renee is the heart and soul of the morning show. Not only is she in charge of a million different things throughout the morning, but she also has all the time and the wherewithal to check in with you just as a person to see how your morning's going and bring a smile to your face.
Renee is the embodiment of the fact that there is simply no such thing as a behind-the-scenes person. Her being there, her kindness, her caring, her thoughtfulness, and her often having our back had a direct reflection on the quality of our broadcast every day. And then when it comes to her personality and her caring and her loving and thinking about us, asking us every day how we're doing and how our families are, there's just nobody I can think of more than Renee that would deserve this award. Renee, we love you.
Renee, congratulations on this honor. We are all so proud of you here at KOMO News and your family, your church community. Everyone is happy for you. I'll just say that the journalism industry needs more people like you, not only people who care about storytelling and ethics and commitment to the profession that we do, but also we need more people who care about their team and the people around them, and that's who you are. You're so caring. Thank you for making this place feel like home for so many years for me and everybody else. And also, thanks for coming to work every day with a great outfit, shoes always matching the jacket and the earrings.
What can I say about Renee? She is probably the meanest, cruelest, most unkind person that I know. No, just kidding. She is the opposite of that. She is one of the most kindest souls probably that's on the earth. She's honest, she's very endearing. She takes care of everyone, not just her job, but she's more of like the heartbeat of like the morning team.
Renee is really the sparkle of KOMO Morning News. She comes in every day helping us get ready for the show. She fuels us with coffee, but also it's her attention to detail when we're on air. What's happening behind the camera really impacts what happens on camera. She is so deserving of the Emmy Silver Circle Award. She's since retired. We miss her every morning, but we're so happy that she gets to be honored with this award and enjoy her retirement.
When I think about Renee, I think about fashionista, I think about being our morning team mom, and I think about strength because she has been through so much in her life personally over the past couple of years, and she came in every morning with a smile on her face and always willing to give us a hug. Congratulations.
Our next honoree is someone whose name may not have appeared on camera, but her work made sure every broadcast went off smoothly. Renee Mullen began her career in 1984 at K2 in Portland before joining KOMO in Seattle in 1988, where she became an essential part of the newsroom for decades. Renee adapted seamlessly to the fast-changing world of broadcast technology, taking on roles from camera operation to managing the media library and studio preparation. Her attention to detail and technical expertise ensured KOMO's morning's newscast ran smoothly day after day. She is a true behind-the-scenes powerhouse. Beyond her technical contributions, Renee is deeply committed to her community. As a member of Unity Church of God in Christ, she mentors youth, organizes support for families, and advocates for underrepresented groups. Renee's inscription reads, "In recognition of your dedication, exceptional leadership, and lasting contributions to KOMO TV and the community, your passion for excellence attention to detail, and commitment to service have inspired us all. Thank you for setting the standard and shining brightly for over 30 years. Please welcome Renee Mullen.
Oh, Joanne. I don't know who that chick is. I know I have to meet her and make her my best friend. Really. Wow, what an incredible journey from 1984 to standing here today with this honor from NATAS. Back then, the thought of this moment would have been the wildest of my dreams. My path in television has been a wonderful, winding one, spending mostly behind the cameras from floor directing, production assistant, to fascinating work in graphics, robotics, camera, prompter operation, a little dab in audio and also some directing, and not also in that specific order. Honestly, I wouldn't trade a single experience. Each role has shaped me and deepened my love for this industry. Now, as someone who is genuinely more comfortable behind the scenes and not known for lengthy pronouncements, I find myself a little speechless, but please know that my heart is full of gratitude. First and foremost, thank you to KATU for giving me my very first opportunity in this business, who opened the doors, and I will always be grateful for that initial trust and belief. And then a heartfelt thank you to KOMO TV. Whoa, you have been my guiding star, nurturing my growth and providing incredible opportunities throughout my career. The support and mentorship I've received there has been invaluable. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And of course, this journey wouldn't have been possible without the unwavering support of my family and friends. Your encouragement, understanding, and love has meant the world. And finally, thank you again to NATAS for this incredible honor. It is truly humbling and deeply appreciated. Thank you.
Today we honor a pillar of Portland television with the coveted Silver Circle Award, Kathy Smith. Kathy began her broadcasting career more than 5 decades ago. In 1972, she started at WNAC-TV in Boston. One of her first assignments, producing the Watergate hearings. And she would later interview Ehrlichman, Colson, Dean, and Liddy when they got out of prison. In 1974, Kathy moved to Portland and the legend was born. She first worked for K2, Channel 2, anchoring the morning news. A year later, along with anchoring and reporting duties, she became Jim Bosley's first co-host on AM Northwest. And just a year after that, in 1976, Cairo TV in Seattle hired her to do the noon, 5, and 11 newscasts. But in 1977, Kathy returned to K2. 2 years later, she joined KGW Channel 8, anchoring the noon, 5, and 11 newscasts. When Kathy began her career, the news audience was not used to seeing a woman in authority. Neither were news directors.
I remember that one of the male anchors from the competition came to work at my station, and he was made news director as well as my co-anchor. And unfortunately, I had to go in and ask him for a raise. And he told me that I didn't have the same intrinsic value as the male co-anchors at that time.
Kathy knew she had to work longer and harder than the men around her, and she did. She also had to put up with a lot more. During an interview with Mickey Mantle, the drunk slugger flung himself at her while she deftly struggled to keep him from looking up her skirt, and worse. Talk about keeping your cool under pressure. In 1985, Kathy briefly retired, but she soon returned to KGW to start a new 4 p.m. newscast. And in 1996, she helped launch KPTV Channel 12's Good Day Oregon. She was the main anchor. Her sharp live interviews, renowned for quick thinking and hardball questions.
The vice president's word is better than the president's word because the president said there was nothing there either. Do you think you're ever going to be able to shake the stigma of your association with the O.J. Simpson murder trial? And how effective can this administration be for the next 2 years?
During her career, Kathy Smith was nominated 4 times for Emmys for both reporting and anchoring. Kathy Smith was only the 2nd woman in Oregon television to anchor a newscast. Kathy Smith, truly an Oregon television news pioneer.
I would advise any young person that wants to get into television to remember that chance favors the prepared mind. If you're open to a new opportunity, grab it, because these opportunities don't come around very often.
Man, you should have kicked Mickey Mantle's tail, man. Man, like, what's up with that? Whew. All right, anyways. Our next honoree helped shape the face of Northwest journalism on and off the air. Kathy Smith began her career more than 4 decades ago in Boston. She came to Portland in 1974 as a news producer, but her talent quickly put her in front of the camera, first anchoring morning broadcasts and then becoming Jim Bosley's first co-anchor on AM Northwest. From Cairo and Seattle to K2, KGW, and KPTV back in Portland, Kathy anchored nearly every major time slot, and in 1996, joined Good Day Oregon. Kathy was only the 2nd woman ever to serve as a main anchor in Portland. Kathy has remained active in her community, including her ongoing work with the Tom McCall Legacy Project, helping to preserve and promote Oregon's environmental and civic legacy. Her inscription reads, honoring 25 years of dedication and excellence in television, a true pioneer and trailblazer. You broke barriers and inspired countless others to follow your path. You will be remembered for an unwavering commitment to the craft and your role in shaping the future of broadcasting. Please welcome Kathy Smith.
Thank you. I'd like to just get away from my initial statement to say that seeing Larry Sturholm in that first video just struck me as being so tragic, because if any of you ever worked with him, you know that he was an amazing and innovative reporter. And to see him so many years later was kind of heartbreaking. But first I want to say, members of the Academy, fellow inductees, friends and family, I first want to thank Daryl Mitchell and Marilyn Deutsch, who were responsible for the video that you just saw. I think we can all agree that the blonde phase I had was a big mistake. I first came to Seattle in the mid-'70s as part of the first triple anchor broadcast in the country at Cairo. It was myself, Kim Mariner, Jim Harriott, Gary Justice, Harry Wappler, and John Marler. I looked like Mary Magdalene at the Last Supper. Not only that, but I did the noon, the 5 and 11 p.m. newscasts. As a single mother of 2 young children, I found ways of doing things with them between each newscast. This kind of backfired on me once when I took my 5-year-old, who's in the audience, for a haircut. Within minutes, he was wiggling in the chair. The barber said to him, "Son, I cannot cut your hair if you're moving around. What's the problem?" And my son said to him, "Well, my mom has to go to work." And he said, "Oh, what does your mom do?" And my son said, "I don't know, but she gets all dressed up and goes out at night." Peter, put your hand up. There were many lighthearted moments in my long career, but some very serious ones too. Watergate. I also was reporting from London during the Gulf War. I interviewed 5 presidents separately. There was always Mount St. Helens. And finally, smoking on the dock at KGW with Dorothy Bullitt. She smoked unfiltered Camels. Talk about a tough newswoman. Dorothy was it. I was 26 when I started this journey in television. I am 78 now. Thank you for the privilege of a profession that I loved and for this recognition tonight. And again, thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Marilyn. You've got me here. Appreciate it. Thank you and good night. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
From the Channel 2
For nearly a quarter of a century, to Alaskans,
with John Tracy.
John Tracy was their Walter Cronkite.
A health alert is in effect. Fish and wildlife officials are searching. Can oil production and wilderness coexist?
You literally could not go anywhere across the state.
Join me for a tour around
without
the
people knowing who John Tracy was.
Nobody experienced that more than John's actual family, who all grew accustomed to sharing John with his extended family.
Proper diet combined.
We couldn't go to the grocery store with him. He would stop and talk to every single person.
Hopefully within a year, even more wildlife.
I was the guy who hired John Tracy way back in the day.
And don't forget your camera.
He, from the first day I can still remember, hardworking, smart, ambitious.
We're being asked to stay home tonight so you're not kicking up a whole lot of ash.
And it turned into an amazing career.
It's unbelievable. He was in the helicopter over the Exxon Valdez that night. This was Alaska's golden age of television journalism.
The Exxon Valdez proved.
Traveling all over Alaska and all over the world, John honed and elevated his craft, taking the who, what, where, when, and how of journalism, weaving those details into the tapestry of a story.
To John, it was important that we be more than just reporters, but first and foremost, storytellers.
The difference between a report and a story, the details. That's a JT line.
John showed us that when we incorporate those qualities into each and every story, the audience will follow.
As anchor and news director, John led KTUU to become the channel the vast majority of Alaskans chose to tune into each night. You see, John discovered and incorporated the secret sauce in connecting with the viewers.
JT built a family, really, even more than just a team.
One that permeated throughout the newsroom, over the airwaves, and into the community.
We have always been an ensemble cast who together are greater than the sum of our parts. Some may call it chemistry, we simply call it friendship.
An honest affection that somehow managed to blend work life and home life into life. And of course, with life came laughter.
Those stories, plus Maria's really dressed like a pig today. You ought to see her. She's right here. Oh, there's a bee. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move.
Don't.
Come here. No, come here. She really looks bad.
How's it going? It's all right. You had a broken steam line.
Good
Topping
evening.
Channel 2. This is how she comes to work, dressed in a sweatshirt.
There has been life after KTUU for John. For a while, he owned and ran his own advertising company and helped run a historically successful write-in campaign for a U.S. senator. These days, John is mostly retired. He travels with his wife, Donna, spends time with his family, occasionally goes fishing, and conducts field research with some of his many good friends. His inclusion in the Silver Circle, a fitting honor for a man and a career that has been nothing short of golden.
He supported his crew, he supported the state with his dedication and his coverage, and I want to thank him. Congratulations, John.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
Our next honoree launched a remarkable career that began right here in Seattle. After graduating from the University of Washington in 1983, John Tracy joined KOMO. And in 1985, he took his talents north to KTUU in Anchorage, where he spent the next 23 years, eventually becoming news director. John's reporting and documentary work earned multiple Emmys, Scripps, and Murrow Awards, and in 2007, he was inducted into the Alaska Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Today, John is based in Arizona. He serves as president of the Alaska Music Archives, helping preserve the state's rich musical and indigenous recording heritage. John's inscription reads, "In recognition of your dedication to excellent journalism, significant contributions to Alaska broadcasting, and decades of service to the people of the great land, congratulations on a legendary career that made a difference for all of Alaska." Please welcome John Tracy.
Well, I just want to begin by being a former news director. I want to point out that Robin, not anybody, with the exception of Rena and Kathy, stuck to the 4 minutes. It's always the sports guy, Chris. Always the sports guy, and Susanna, you should know better. Thank you all very much. Thank you to John Carpenter and Scott Jensen for producing that video. You're fired. You can't do that anymore. First of all, my congratulations to all my fellow inductees. It is truly an honor to be here. Dick, you're the only one who jumped up on stage. I had to take the stairs. My hat is off to you. It has been really fun learning about all of your contributions to this crazy industry. This was a total surprise. I learned about it in a phone call from Scott Jensen from a little windswept community on the coast of Alaska called Unalakleet. I'm guessing none of our other inductees got a phone call like that, but from Alaska, it's Tuesday. So it is truly an honor to follow my fellow KTUU colleagues into the circle. Some of them are here tonight. Nancy Johnson and Jackie Purcell, Alaska's weather person. Mike Ross, who is not here tonight, but Mike was instrumental, along with Scott Jensen, in forwarding my name for consideration. Mike's father passed away last week, and he would have been here, but we'll forgive him for that. He's taking care of his mom. Eric Soule, also inducted into the Silver Circle, our chief photographer and my field partner on so many stories around the world. And of course, Maria Downey, my conscience for a couple of decades, my co-anchor. My children thought that she was also their mom. We spent a lot of time together. And I also want to acknowledge our sports director and the guy who voiced that video and wrote it, John Carpenter, who is the most famous Alaskan in any room. So I appreciate that most of you have no idea who I am. But I can tell you I did start with Ed White. We graduated together from the University of Washington in 1983. I think Ed and I were the only ones that actually made a career out of broadcast journalism, if you could call mine a career. But so it was great to reconnect with Ed. So I'm going to give you a few names of other people you don't know. Isn't that great? So any success that any of us have had are just a reflection of the mentors who got us here. Every single one of us have mentioned that. So I learned to produce at KOMO TV. I used to be a grip. That's where I started. And when all the other grips would come into the photography office because they wanted to be photographers, I wanted to be a writer. And so I would sneak into the newsroom and they would let me write copy. So that's how I started. I learned from two great producers at KOMO, Dean Bunting and Gary Lesser. I don't know if any of you know those names, but I wrote copy for Jim Harriet and Kathy Gertzen, and I know that you know those names. Wonderful people they were, and patient to a fault. I learned the power of storytelling from John Larson. I know you know who that is. He hired me at KTUU, as he said, before he went on to Dateline. And from the other best in the business, Bob Dotson, who became not just a mentor, but became a very close friend to this day. I learned the leadership skills from Al Bramstead, our general manager, and the best boss one could have. And I learned the importance of patience from Nancy Johnson, who was our sales manager at the time and went on to become a wonderful general manager. I tested her patience every day. I was proud to be part of a newsroom comprised of reporters, photographers, and producers who tested their limits, and quite often mine, on a daily basis. Alaska is 1/3 the size of the United States. It's a land of earthquakes, volcanoes, and at one time, America's biggest oil spill. Our crews covered it all with creativity and fearlessness, and all too often, we didn't know what we didn't know, so we took chances. We challenged our operations department under another legend, Trent McNally, who pulled off the technically impossible. We did live shots from all over the state, all over the world, including the tallest mountain in North America, which to all Alaskans will forever be called Denali. Somehow suspected this crowd would appreciate that. So this honor is really for them, the hundreds of journalists in front of the camera and behind who helped turn a little tiny station into a journalistic powerhouse. Many of them went on to larger markets, national networks, newsroom management. Many of them stayed in Alaska, becoming business and political and even spiritual leaders like Pastor John Carpenter. You can leave Alaska, but it never leaves you. Speaking of never leaving me, the most important thank you I reserve for my wife of almost 35 years, Donna, who tolerated my long hours, extended absences, and waited for those strangers, as Taylor said, that would stop me and want to tell their stories in anywhere that I went. She raised our 3 kids, Cole, our oldest, Taylor, and Sean. Cole gave us 2 wonderful grandkids. Our youngest, Sean, has produced his first album, better musician than his father ever was. And my daughter, Taylor, who's here tonight, who is an actor, an artist, a writer, and producer of such exceptional talent. I wonder who she came from. Hi. She gets all of that from her mom, Donna. Donna raised our kids while working brutal shifts as an air traffic controller. She was among the first women in what was a male fraternity. She went on to help design, implement, and write a training program for the next generation control system. She served as the FAA's Air Force liaison for war games in Alaska. That Kelly McGillis character in Top Gun, that could have been based on Donna. While the character got Tom Cruise, she got me. But I'm taller. Her handle was the Velvet Hammer. She was twice nominated for Government Employee of the Year at a time when we actually valued government employees in this country and didn't ridicule them with a chainsaw. Think about that the next time you get on an airplane. All right, soapbox moment. I want to say a little bit about journalism. The fact is, America has become difficult for a large number of people who don't look like me. The contributions of women and people of color are being erased from the public record. As Scott Pelley put it, journalism is under attack. The good news is history teaches us to remain hopeful, right? We've been down these dark roads before, but it's always been journalists like Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite, Woodward, and Bernstein, who remind us of our responsibility, the Fourth Estate's responsibility, to protect and defend the foundations of our democracy, even as the politicians chip away at it. Okay, end of sermon. Finally, I want to close the circle by going back to the beginning, like a Christopher Nolan movie. I wouldn't be here without the influence of a childhood friend. His name is Joe Wren. We went to St. Luke's together. We were altar boys. When I was a struggling musician in between gigs in Seattle, which is what I thought I was going to do with my life, I would hang out with Joe in the KOMO edit bays because he would edit for the morning show. And Joe suggested that if the music thing didn't work out, because he probably knew what a great musician I was, maybe journalism would scratch my creative itch. Joe is now approaching 50 years at KOMO TV. He is the Walter Mitty of Seattle history and was deservedly the focus of KOMO's recent anniversary coverage. Joe is more deserving of this honor than I ever am, and Joe, you cannot have mine. But I would like to just ask you all right now to recognize Joe Wren and his service to this industry. Joe, you stand up. There he is. All right, that wasn't so brief. Thank you to all my friends and family for traveling so far to be here tonight, especially those of you that came from Alaska. Thank you, Diane and Robin. Sorry I went long. I'm the news director. I'm fine. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. Thank you to the NATAS board. Congratulations to you all. Thank you very much.
Montana, it's Friday morning. Here's what's going on in the news. Red Bay City officials refused comment today.
The demolition experts we spoke to yesterday say it's going to look like brag about having the valley's smallest goat.
It's what they recently discovered behind the pipe organ that's really exciting. Hello there, thanks for joining us tonight. Kalispell partly cloudy at 43 degrees. The high today reached 62. In our exclusive interview, he tells us after 2 decades in prison, today he's enjoying family, freedom, and fried chicken.
When we finally got to the scene, neighbors were running up the street full bore with their own shovels just to help, and the law enforcement were letting them do that in a desperate search for anybody who may have been trapped under that slide. When we told him the mill was shutting down as of the 31st of December, he was in shock.
I ask that you send me and my family your well wishes and support, and my coworkers too, because they're all going through this with me. This is actually Missoula's third airport. There was a landing strip built near the University of Montana back in 1923.
We're in a giant plume of smoke that stretches from Florence just to the outside of Lolo.
Exactly 20 years to the day of that discovery in the dumpster. And I got a private message on Facebook from somebody named Nadia, none other than baby Grace.
I am doing something I've always wanted to do. It's ride my bike up going to the Sun Road before it opens to all the traffic in the summer.
There have been dozens of volunteer searches and dozens of law enforcement searches, with more to come. But you see this area, it is so heavily wooded, it's hard to find anything. I think that I would like to be able to show you can make a lovely career for yourself in a smaller market, in a smaller state. It's not about market size, it's your contribution to the craft that we love. It's your contribution to the people who are watching you consume the news that you're giving back to them. I want other people who I have come in contact with in this position to say, Jill taught me something about what it's like to be a broadcaster and what it's like to be a journalist and why it matters.
Our next honoree has been a trusted voice in Montana journalism for more than 3 decades. Jill Valley is an Emmy Award-winning anchor and reporter who has spent 32 years at KPAX in Missoula, telling stories that matter. After graduating from Washington State University, go Cougs! Jill began her career in Alabama, but it was Montana that became her journalistic home. In 2024, she won the Hard News Story of the Year for coverage that exposed an extortion suicide case and ultimately helped save lives. She's also an 8-time Montana Broadcaster of the Year award winner and recipient of a National Murrow Award. Jill's inscription reads, "You have set the standard for Montana broadcast journalism while leading and teaching and mentoring a generation of reporters. Your commitment to your profession and your community is unmatched. Thank you for more than 30 years at KPAX TV." Please welcome Jill Valley.
You're going to have to bear with me. I've been an anchor for 30 years or whatever. I've never lost my voice. And then tonight I lose my voice as I'm inducted into this Silver Circle. So what? Listening to the other honorees, I'm like, what am I doing here? Oh my goodness. I think you were working at CAP when I was an intern. And I was scared of you then and I'm scared of you now. Oh my God. Like, I know who that is. So I think about how I got to this point in my career, and it first started with my parents, who are watching on the live stream, who paid for my tuition to Washington State University. That's right, go Cougs. And they believed in me when I thought there's no way I could go to college and do journalism, even though I wanted to do it since a kid. And they drove me in a snowstorm in a Volkswagen Bug up a mountain pass so I can go to Yakima for my internship in college, and then sold that same Volkswagen after I got my first job in Florence, Alabama, to help pay for my first job, because, you know, $800 a month does not go far at all. And I think about living in, excuse me, what is going on? You move all the way to these towns because you need the job, especially at the beginning. Back in the 80s and the 90s, you go where the job is. I end up in Florence, 2,000 miles from home. And I remember being on the airplane and I'm about to land and I'm shaking. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Thank you so much. Wow, you're kind. This isn't Jen? What? God.
Just wait.
Okay, just wait. This lady on the plane said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm gonna go be a news reporter." And she said, "Always tell the truth." And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do that. And my first friend who was a reporter in Florence said, "So who did you leave behind to have this job?" And I thought to myself, well, everybody, you know? We go where the job is, and back then, of course, there's no social media, so you vanish for a while to go pursue your dream, and you eventually come back. You forge new families, right? You have to find your family where you are. Over time, this whole journey becomes a family, and it's a family real and the ones you create on your own that understand you're not going to be there for Thanksgivings and Christmases and birthdays, and you disappear from May, February, November, and July for sweeps. I am so glad those are over. I mean, at least I'm going to say they're over, right? This is a job we make sacrifices, right? I never got to tuck my daughter into bed because I was always doing the late shift. Now she's here now, and I could tuck her in now. She's 21 years old and might think that's weird, but I do have to give a shout out to Raquel. You know how we all kind of gather little awards here and there, and you've got them on your wall in your office. And I came back from a trip and I saw a bunch of my awards were all scattered. I thought, were you messing with my stuff? And she said, "I'm just taking an interest in your career, Mom." What she was actually doing is taking inventory of any accolade and giving it to my news director and friend, Melissa Rafferty, who was recovering from knee replacement surgery, who filled out this massive application so I can be inducted into the Silver Circle. Who does that, right? See? And put the awards back next time, Rick. I know where they go. They also kept it a secret, made me read a kicker, and the kicker was that I was inducted into the Silver Circle. So good trick. I love that. Having spent over 30 years at KPAX, yes, I forgot to get a different job. We've all been there for each other. Those who've worked there for decades, those who've worked there for 3 decades. We've celebrated each other's special moments, weddings, divorces, graduations, major achievements. When life takes those unexpected turns, we're here to support each other, and I hope you know I'll be there to support all of you forever. You know, one of the more gratifying aspects, and I know you guys feel this too, when you're trying to teach the younger reporters things and you tell them about the olden days, and they're just looking at you like, what? So the Unabomber is arrested in, 1994, just outside Missoula. Huge story, huge story. He dies. We call the weekend anchor. We have a new lead story for you. The Unabomber's dead. You know what she said, right? Who? The freaking Unabomber. In a world that sometimes really does seem overwhelmed by misinformation and noise, I have held on to one simple belief in my career, that the truth is worth fighting for. And I look back at my work and I hope that my legacy will not be measured by awards or bylines, but maybe rather the impact of the stories that I've told and the people I've touched. And tonight I am so honored to share this moment with my family, Ray and Raquel, Chris, Grace, Ben, and Sam, along with my childhood friend Bill, who I've known him since I was 10 and he was 10. He knew I wanted to do it way back then. So look, I did it. You know, it took a while, but I'm here. And his lovely wife, Allison. And watching from the live screen, I have my mom and dad, who've been my staunch supporters forever. Mom and dad, Jason, Ben, Aaron, and Melissa. I love you guys. Thank you so much for always believing in me and thinking that my job is cool. And thank you, Jason, for always checking the webpage to see if I've actually turned a story that particular day. And I thank you so much to the National Academy of Television Arts and Science. Our station is so new to even being a part of this community. We won our first Emmy last year, and you would have thought we just cured cancer. We were so excited. And it's just inspired us to continue to work. So I think I got everything. Thank you so much, and thank you for bearing. What? of all days, but thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Cable 8 News.
Bruce Williams spent 40 years in TV news, both in front of and behind the camera, and it all began at Washington State University.
Wazoo was awesome. Cable 8 was awesome. I'm Bruce Williams. Have a good evening. My first TV job was at KTVF, Fairbanks, Alaska.
The single-engine Wall aircraft was...
That was my first story. I thought, man, it's a plane crash. This is a big deal. And one of my coworkers said, yeah, these happen all the time. I liked anchoring, I liked reporting, I liked shooting, but ultimately working on the assignment desk was something that I saw that I could move up quicker.
Bruce covered some of the biggest stories in Oregon. The Bhagwan Rajneesh in eastern Oregon, the return of Keiko the killer whale to Iceland, and on Olympic ice, the attack on figure skater Nancy Kerrigan.
Right after the attack on Nancy Kerrigan, I was running the desk at KOIN. We got an anonymous letter in the mail. It basically outlined exactly what turned out to be how Nancy Kerrigan was attacked. And I said, Ann, we got this letter. Can you reach out to Tanya? So she comes down to the station. All I remember is it was a 2-camera shoot, and you could just see Galuli shooting bullets at the other camera as he's listening to the questions.
His career spanned across news stations in Alaska, Washington, and Oregon.
KTVF, KOBI, KOMO, KATU, KOVR, KOIN, KPTV, KGW. I guess the most rewarding time is any time that somebody I was working with really went out and did a great job. My job was basically most of the time just to make people look better.
At work, everyone just expected Bruce to show up in Coug gear.
And even though he preferred to stay behind the camera, his fingerprints are on every major story that we covered.
Bruce Williams, congratulations.
Congratulations, Bruce. Congratulations, Bruce.
Congratulations, Bruce. From your work wife for nearly 20 years, Bruce could always be counted on to support his Cougars, tell you about the best wine, and was the calm in the storm.
Hello from Chicago, home of Michael Jordan. And just like Jordan, you, my friend, are the undisputed GOAT of the assignment desk editors.
Bruce, congratulations! You taught myself and so many others so much, and this is beyond deserved. Cheers, friend.
Hey, Bruce, it's Joe Donlin, sending congratulations from Chicago. Well deserved, my friend.
No one did the job better than you. You made the impossible happen for us every day. And yet the only thing you bragged about, besides the Cougs, was your family.
Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
See? He's up here early. Right? He's not going to send you late. I love that. Bruce Williams has left an indelible mark on broadcast journalism in the Pacific Northwest. He worked at all 4 major Portland stations, KATU, KGW, KOIN, and KPTV, over a 40-year career. Bruce became one of the city's most respected newsroom leaders. But at KOIN, he became a fixture in the newsroom for over 17 years, holding several key roles, shaping newsroom strategy and mentoring generations of journalists. Though he started as a reporter, Bruce's true impact came behind the scenes as a sharp editorial leader and passionate gatekeeper of trusted journalism, and made sure people got to lunch. Bruce also lends his energy to the community through years of volunteer work, a proud Washington State Coug, go Cougs, and noted wine connoisseur. Bruce brings thoughtfulness and warmth to everything he does. Bruce's inscription reads, celebrating 40-plus years of leadership, mentorship, and community service to the Pacific Northwest, especially the Portland market. Your work had an indelible impact on the countless people you have mentored and the stations you've served. Please welcome Early Man, Bruce Williams.
Of course, the behind-the-scenes guy is the last one to go. I'm sorry about that. You have to bear with me. I'd be a lot more comfortable up here if I was doing this over a two-way radio or a Zoom call. In the news business, we tell stories. We help people find out what's going on in their community, and they look to us for information. Our industry is changing, but the one thing that we still need are the people in our newsrooms to bring those stories to our community. I always saw my job as one of setting the bar for success. The desk would get the ball rolling. We would make the calls, set up interviews before crews came on shift. We would talk to the public, story tips. We would listen to pitches from PR professionals. And we'd also juggle it when our crews, people like Kurt Austin, say, hey, I've got a project I want to work on. We'd make sure that Kurt got it and that our crews got lunch, like Jesse says. There are so many stories I remember over the 40 years. You saw the Tanya Hardy story, which truly was an amazing story. But there's other ones. Like one of the few times that I got out of the newsroom, I was field producing a Blazer playoff series down in Los Angeles, and the LA riots broke out. So we had to juggle, how do we do news? How do we do sports? How do we keep the crews safe? Like when we're going live from the top of the CNN bureau down there, and the police think that we're snipers. So, you know, that happened. Then we had the Coin Tower shooting hostage situation where half of the newsroom evacuated. The other half, myself included, were down in the basement of the Coin Tower. I was directing crews, we were covering the story, but we had made the decision we weren't going to go on air until we knew that the gunman was in custody. And finally, there was COVID. I mean, it devastated our world, and it totally changed how we did things in the news biz. I don't know if I could have lasted another year and a half like I did working out of my son's old bedroom from home. Try to do that running the desk. It's a really great time. But there are some amazing stories with happy endings. One that I always remember is there was a missing hiker in the Columbia River Gorge. Happens all the time, but this guy had been missing for a good amount of time. Our helicopter pilot thought he had an idea of where he might be, so I said, okay, let's check it out. The next thing I know, he's calling me on the two-way, and he says, Bruce, you gotta take a look at this. And he's got a picture of this guy, and he's signaling the chopper with a pie plate. So I was able to get that up on a satellite. We happened to have the satellite truck at the base camp. So we brought the signal down. The hikers' parents had flown in from Louisiana and were there. We got them into the satellite truck, and to this day I can remember his mother crying and touching one of those little monitors in the truck going, that's my boy, that's my boy. I will close with thanking the nomination committee and Tai Takahashi for nominating me for this honor. It truly is an honor, and it's not one that a lot of people from the desk get. So for all my desk comrades, this one's for you. And unlike the Academy Awards, I'm not going to name everyone that I've worked with, but I keep you in my memories and in my hearts. My mentors turned me into the journalist that I am. My colleagues helped me learn every day for 40 years. We spent a lot of time at work, sometimes more time than we spent with our families. It truly was an honor to work in a job that I loved for 40 years. Lastly, I want to thank my family. My wife, Marcia, and I, we met in 1983 covering President Reagan's visit to Klamath Falls, Oregon during the timber crisis. Marcia and I just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary in April. My son, Rob, is here tonight. He grew up with the news being a big part of his life. Like, I think we only spent one half day playing in the snow the whole time he grew up, and I got called into work. So that was it. That was the only snow day. I'm glad that he is able to spend time with his kids, our grandkids, and enjoy those snow days. His wife, Rachel, is at home in Oregon with our 2 grandkids, Emmeline and Charlie. Charlie broke his arm last week, so that's why they're not up here. As for retirement, I'm loving it. I'm loving spending time with my wife, with the grands, with family and friends. Of course, I'm still an avid Coug fan, and after seeing all the Huskies up here, I was getting a little worried. So, once again, I'll say, go Cougs. What? Yeah, for fun, I pour wine at a couple tasting rooms in Oregon, so if you're ever down in the Willamette Valley, stop by Dominio 4 Bledsoe McDaniels. I'll pour you some wine. We'll talk wine, sports, whatever you want. Thanks again for this honor. You know, what all of you do matters and is important. And I am truly honored to be part of this group. Thank you.
All right, a big hand for all of our inductees. I want to thank Chapter President Greg, Executive Director Diane, Awards Committee Chairs Robin and Sarah, and the Board of Governors and the talented team at NATAS Northwest that made this event happen. Thank you very much. If you're going to be here for the Emmys tomorrow, I won't be, because remember, I got fired. So, enjoy yourself. Have a good time, listen to a few drunk speeches, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.